just recently we had the reading of Paul in the Areopagus.
Yeah, yesterday.
Yeah, and I preached on doing what I call cultural research. My seminarians laugh at it, but like if I go to a concert or go see a film, I'm doing cultural research. Why? Because St. Paul did cultural research. Before he got up in the Areopagus and started preaching, we hear that he went around and carefully observed the city. So he went around and was studying, okay, here's shrines here, shrines there, da-da-da. Oh, here's a shrine to an unknown God. Boom. That's going to be my traction. That's going to be my starting point when I get up and do my preaching. And then a little later on in the reading, he says, your poets say. So he knew what the poets were saying. So he knew the culture. He knew, okay, here's your shrine. Here's the basic setup of your city. I've studied that. I've done my homework. I know what your poets say. And now I'm going to tell you about the resurrected Lord. Did it work? Did he convert everyone? No, because some people said, get out of here. Others said, we'll hear you another day. But a few did follow. So the cultural research seems to have worked in that situation. And that's one way in. There's a lot of ways to evangelize, but I like that a lot. Like, I like if people are listening to a song and it's very popular, I want to know why they're listening. Why is that interesting to you? Because there's got to be something in there that's hitting your heart, hitting your head. And if I could somehow connect that to the gospel or to some reality that you haven't thought of yet, I think that's super helpful. Yeah. I love doing that. I think that's, Barron talks about it as the seeds of the word, like finding what's good in the culture. And then that's a way in with people, because if you can find what people like and what's good and show them you're interested, they're much more likely to be interested in what you have to say then. Right.
I think all of that's exactly right. Although I do worry sometimes that we bend over backwards to try to find the good in the latest movie or the latest novel when it's filled with blasphemy and pornography. And I wonder why we wouldn't just condemn it outright and say, well, of course there's good in that. There's good in everything. There's good in Lucifer, the fact that he exists.
Yeah, that's right.
But I'm not going to spend any time reviewing it and encouraging people to watch it. It should be, let there be no hint of impurity among you, Paul says, which I love in, generally, and then we all get offended when someone points to the particular thing that we're engaged in that is actually impure.
So do you bring back the index?
Yeah, for Catholics, I don't know.
Or the USCCB used to do the I don't know if they still do it. They had their rating system for all the films. It was like A1, A2, A3, then morally offensive.
This is funny. It's like it's a similar question to like freedom of speech, hey? Because someone will talk about hate speech, and you go, well, yeah, like we all know that there is speech that's hateful, sure.
Yeah.
But the problem is, as soon as you tell me how to fix that, like, okay, how you tell me then? There's hate speech. We don't like it. What should we do? Well, we should maybe suppress some of it. Okay, tell me how. Right. And as soon as you start doing that, you're like, now it looks, now it's like you've got worse problems.
Yeah.
And that's why I don't know. I'd have to think about that more.
There's certain things that I would...
there are certain things that the church forbids, like pornography. That you could put that on the list of forbidden movies and books, I suppose. But
I saw Poor Things with Emma Stone, and it was almost softcore porn in there. She won an Oscar for it. Her acting was... Do you know the story?
First of all, who's Emma Stone? Second, I've heard her name. I'm really bad with actors and actresses.
She's an excellent actor, and she starred in this film. It was like an art house film. This would be interesting question for you. Okay. Like, I would recommend you see this film because I know the work that you've done with pornography. I also know that you very much cherish the virtue of chastity. You're a good married man. You'd never watch this with your children, but I would, she's
so lovely.
Yeah.
Her eyes.
Well, here's the story. Again, spoiler alert, but the film starts off, she jumps off a bridge and takes her life. Oh. She's pregnant.
Oh.
She dies, the baby lives. A mad scientist takes the brain out of the living baby and puts it in her fully formed adult human body. And then she has to start by learning how to walk and learning how to talk.
How interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting, but it's also horrifying because it becomes this existential, again, it's a will to power. It is that my life has no meaning, and only when I act do I create meaning. And it's not so much choosing the good, it's simply any actions I do, and sexual acts that may be off limits, I'm doing them. That's making me more of who I am. It's a horrifying film. And I thought, like, contrast that to someone like Flannery O'Connor, who looks at the world that comes with meaning, and I am responding to what's given. I am not manipulating. I don't have a mad scientist. I'm working with what's naturally there. I think that's a fascinating theological and philosophical argument. Do I think most people should see that film? No. Do I think you should see it and I would have a wonderful conversation with you about it? Yes.
Is there pornography in it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I could never watch it.
You could never watch it?
I think it would be shameful to even patronize it.
Could you look away at parts or something? Would you watch an edited version?
No, I think I'd be I think it's so offensive that people would produce things like that I wouldn't even want to pay money or give it the time of day. I'd rather condemn it.
Okay.
Now I'm speaking strongly, so you can try to temper me. But it's like shameful. It's shameful to put pornography in front of people. And I'm getting the impression from the baby brain in an adult woman that there might be some pedophilia kind of themes in this. Like, I imagine she's engaging in sex acts as a little. I have no idea. I'm just guessing from what you're talking about. But like, someone would take advantage of a grown woman who's got an infant's brain. Is that happening? By
that time, I think she's. You don't know how old she is at the time, but by that time.
Anyway, like, what's wrong with my argument that if there's intrinsic evil within a movie, you shouldn't watch it, and you shouldn't be telling people that there's some good stuff in this, and like there's some really cool philosophical themes. Who gives a shit? Find the philosophical themes in other works.
I don't think. I put it this way: I can engage people who have watched the film in a way that maybe no one else can. Maybe, or maybe. I don't know.
But what if you came across a city of people who only watch pornography? You wouldn't be like, well, I really want to see pornographies. I know you're not saying this, but I'm not saying that. Of course you're not. But I want to enter into their world and see what's good in that, and so I can use that to help them. No, just go in and condemn them for being evil and invite them to something beautiful. And when they say, well, you don't understand, you have to, he's like, no, I don't need to get into a sewer and play in shit to know what it's like.
So then again, this goes back to the free speech. Where is the line with a film that you would see?
Yeah, great question.
And not see?
That's a great question.
Like, would you see?
Yeah, you give me a few.
I don't know, like Pulp Fiction. Is that too much? Or is it how about violence? And is it just sex or violence? Or
I don't know.
But these questions interest me because.
But see, okay.
I mean, what about like Bernini's the rape of Persephone or the Daphne? Like, when you see Greek statuary of a woman being raped by a Greek god, can you look at that? Or
because I wouldn't consider it pornographic.
Okay.
I haven't seen the image. I don't recall the image you're referring to, but I would imagine it's not pornographic. Because I would think of pornography as material which depicts erotic behavior intended to sexually arouse, or which has that effect, and that doesn't.
Okay.
That doesn't, unless you're perverted and you don't know how to see something like that, I don't think. So you've heard of the fallacy of the beard? Which is to say, okay, just because I don't know when a beard begins, it doesn't mean I can't say what a beard is.
I see.
And it would be something like that, I suppose. I guess I'd say maybe I don't know what's acceptable, but I know it's unacceptable. But I still think you're right to press me there. Yeah,
and
I'm increasingly I have a big problem with violence too. I think too many Christians write off pornography films, which is great, while they're perfectly happy to watch a John Wick film, which is just a bloodlust film.
I don't know John Wick.
It's just you beat the living snot out of your enemies who've done something bad, take revenge. There's a bunch of revenge movies where they just.
How about Fight Club?
Yeah, I wouldn't watch Fight Club because there's a few sex scenes in it.
Are there?
There's audible things that take place that I wouldn't do that. Now, a lot of this is coming from my own wounds, right?
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean I'm wrong. Put that up front. But right, like I was really hurt as a kid by pornography. And so there's a weakness in me that I have to guard against. Like someone who breaks their arm and probably shouldn't be doing certain activities even long after. Hey, thank you so much for watching. Before you go, do us a favor, leave a comment, let us know what you thought of the video, like, and subscribe.